Evening, everyone. I am Leslie Sherrod. Happy to see so many faces today and happy today to be the moderator for the Who Done It panel. I hope that you have been enjoying the conference so far, and I look forward to introducing to you some additional authors, specifically who write within the genre of mystery. Neil Armstrong once said that mystery creates wonder, and wonder is the basis of man's desire to understand. Christian writers of mystery can help us better understand our faith through encouraging, entertaining, and truly wonderful reads. I'm delighted and excited to introduce to you this evening 5 authors of esteem who will be sharing information about themselves and their work. I will start this session first by introducing the authors and their featured books. They'll be able to give you a quick little synopsis of their featured book, and then I have some questions. And I also invite you as attendees to use the chat feature as we go along to ask questions. We hope that this is something that's engaging for you. And I'm excited to let you know who is on our panel today. First, we have Jann Franklin. Jann Franklin lives in Grand Cane, Louisiana, population 298. Many of her ideas come from weekly interactions with her fellow villagers. Like her protagonist, she never appreciated her small town upbringing until her husband forced her to live in one. Now she can't imagine living any other way. She and her husband John enjoy Sundays at Grand Cane Baptist Church, dinner with family and friends, and watching the lightning bugs in their backyard with their dogs. Their kids come to visit when they aren't too busy living their big city lives. Jann Franklin today is going to be talking about her featured book, Muffalettas and Murder. And Jann, if you're out there, can you?
I am.
There you are. You know
I
what?
figured it out. It was so exciting.
I'm going to invite you to take a moment to give us a quick little teaser of what Muffalettas and Murder is about.
Oh, well, it's a little autobiographical. It's a woman who her kids are all grown, and in her instance, her husband's passed away, and she's kind of, floating there, just doesn't really know what to do with her life. And her kids say, "Mom, you should move closer to family, not us." But other family, like your dad and your brother. So she goes back to her small hometown she grew up in that she swore she would never go back to. And she's still kind of hanging out, trying to figure out, do I join, the ladies' prayer circle? Do I join the church decorating committee? What do I do with my life? And her brother, who is a detective with the sheriff's department, he says, okay, you've written these books, these fiction books, which she has. Her husband was a police officer, and so she wrote these books kind of based on some of his stories. And he says, we're at a dead end. I don't know what to do about this case. Can you just take a look at it, maybe give a fresh perspective? And she gets entangled and off and running, and kind of shows up her little brother. So,
Okay. Sounds like lots of twists and turns there.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. But let me introduce who else we have on the panel. We also have Lori Z. Scott. Wheaton College graduate Lori Z. Scott adores anything that makes her smile, like cartoons, fuzzy socks, and well-penned sticky notes. She's taught elementary school for over 25 years, mostly for the free hugs. After accidentally writing a best-selling chapter book series, she deliberately contributed to 15 books and published over 200 articles, short stories, poems, I can't speak today, excuse me, and devotions for magazines like Brio and Focus on the Family. Additionally, she writes articles for Story Embers, an online Christian writing community. In 2022, Lori introduced the award-winning book Inside the 10-Foot Line, the first installment in a sports series geared for Christian teens. Her featured book for the evening is Offsides. And Lori, I'm going to invite you to give us a very brief synopsis of the book that is being featured tonight.
Great. Thank you, Leslie, and thank you for hosting us tonight and asking the questions. My book is basically a Christian version of Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So it's geared for the young adult. It's got humor and and really strong honesty, and it brings awareness to human trafficking. So that's it in a nutshell.
Okay. All right, next we have LK. LEK is a romantic suspense author committed to weaving stories that reflect her Christian faith. Residing on a central Pennsylvania hobby farm with her family and a menagerie of animals, she finds inspiration in nature and the simple joys of rural life. Elle is the author of the Pennsylvania Park series, including the latest installment, which is the featured book for tonight, Grave Secrets. She has also penned the Endless Mountain trilogy, the Heroes of Freedom Ridge series, and has an upcoming Christmas romance, Wooing the Widower. Let's hear tonight from her how she will, how faith and storytelling intersect in her novels. And Elle, can you give us also a quick synopsis of Grave Secrets?
Grave Secrets. It's the second book in my Pennsylvania Park series. This is the first one. I didn't get the second one mailed to me yet, so you have to look at the first one. Grave Secrets is about a woman who is a park ranger at Ricketts Glen State Park, which is a pretty wonderful park right near my house. It has 23 named waterfalls, I think it is. It's really beautiful. Gavin is a security company owner, and the two of them end up meeting up again because they know each other after he is investigating a disappearance and she's investigating a cold case, and the two of them come together and find a symbol that links the two cases in a very mysterious way, and they eventually infiltrate a secret society with historical roots, and it forces them into a deadly showdown. It's a whole big thing.
All right, sounds exciting. Okay, we have two additional authors today. The next is Gail Pelota, and I apologize if I did not say your name correctly. Feel free to correct me at any time. Award-winning author Gail Pelota is a wife, mom, swimmer, and bargain shopper who loves God, beach sunsets, and getting together with friends and family. She's a former Grace Awards finalist, a 2017 Reader's Favorite Book Awards recipient, and a Top Shelf 2020 Book Awards finalist. She's published 6 books, poems, short stories, and 200 articles. Some of her articles appear in anthologies, while 2 are in museums. You can visit her website at her name, gailpelota.com. And her featured book for this evening is Cooking Up a Mystery. Gail, can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Oh, yes. This is Cooking Up a Mystery. The theme is forgiveness and getting second chances. It has a bit of suspense, romance, and humor. It takes place in Laney's tea house, which is frequented by the Busy Bee seniors, an elderly man with a cute little dog, and a roller derby queen. Everything is just lovely until Laney hears banging in her kitchen late at night, and she goes in and nothing is amiss and there's no one there. So clearly there is something brewing in there and cooking up a mystery in her kitchen.
Okay, awesome. All right, and last but certainly not least, we have Carole Brown. Besides being a member and active participant of many writing groups, award-winning Carole Brown enjoys mentoring beginning writers. An author of 16 books, she loves to weave suspense and tough topics into her books, along with a touch of romance and whimsy, and is always on the lookout for outstanding titles and catchy ideas. She and her husband reside in Southeast Ohio, but have ministered and counseled nationally and internationally. Together, they enjoy their grandsons, traveling, gardening, good food, the simple life, and did she mention their grandsons? Her featured book tonight is Ne'er the Twain Shall Meet. Carole, can you tell us a little bit more about your title? Okay, well, you are on mute. We want to be able to hear you. Make sure that We can hear you tonight. Still showing as mute. I don't know if one of the hosts are on that would be able to help unmute Carole.
She's unmuted. I wonder if she is connected to audio. Carole, you might have to go out and come back in because you're unmuted, but we still can't hear you. Or figure out how to connect with audio.
What we'll do, Carole, I wanted to give you an opportunity to be able to connect with audio. As soon as you are able to, just wave a hand and let me know that you're connected. In the meantime, if it's okay, just while you are getting connected, let's go ahead and I have a question for each of our panelists today. I'm going to start out with one question for each of you, different questions. And then I'm also going to ask our audience here, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat and we'll try and see what we can get to. I'll start with one. I have a whole bunch of other questions if the audience does not have any. So we'll have opportunities. Checking back in with Carole. Are you connected yet? Okay. As she is continuing to do that, let's start with let's see here. LK. You mentioned the setting of Ricketts Glen State Park, and it sounds like that is an important facet of your book. Can you tell us what made you choose that particular setting for your novel, Grave Secrets?
Well, I wanted to choose a park that I was very familiar with, and that one is actually less than 5 minutes from my house. So I decided that would be a good one for my second book. But it is one that I absolutely love. It's my favorite one of the state parks in Pennsylvania.
Awesome. Checking back in with Carole. Any success yet? Okay. Just let us know when you are able to speak, because we definitely want to hear about your book and learn more about you. Next question for Lori. You were known for your humor, but your latest release tackles a really heavy topic, human trafficking. Can you tell us, why did you elect to address such a difficult topic? And also, do you think Christian authors should be willing to take on sensitive subjects?
Yeah, I am known for writing humor. And so when I first had the idea for this story, it actually was suggested by a friend in my critique group. And I was like, no, no, I do not want to do a topic of human trafficking. It's horrific. It's too much for me to think of. I can't even imagine writing this for the young adult audience. But there were a series of events that happened in Texas, if you remember. Girls being taken from a basketball game and put into human trafficking. I grew up in a little bit in Indiana, and there was some human trafficking going on there. And the Lord put it very, very heavy on my heart that even though I was saying no, he was saying yes. And so I'm like, okay, God, I'll do it. And so I started doing the research and started putting the book together. Oh my goodness, Leslie, I cannot tell you what came out was so incredible. I don't usually talk about my books. I'll joke about it, like, it's okay. This is a good book. And I've had people contact me through Instagram or other places saying, we need our teens to hear this message, because with social media, with the availability of these predators to get their hands on our youth. They need to be aware that they're in danger. I try to put humor in it because I need to balance it. This is a dark topic. I don't want to scare the kids. And I feel pleased that with some of the reviews I got, they were like, yeah, she was able to pull it off, that it is a heavy topic, but it doesn't feel heavy because it's balanced with hope. And that's the thing. You can write about heavy topics if you can write with hope. And as a Christian, that's what I try to offer. I'm actually hoping that I can partner with some human trafficking organizations. There's a Christian one here in Dallas, and I hope to donate some of those proceeds to help victims.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that background. I'm gonna check back in with Carole again. Any success? Is there and this might be a question for the organizers with the connection, is there a phone number that she could call into?
Oh, that's a great idea,
Yeah,
Leslie.
typically with Zoom, there tends to be a phone option that would allow you to have that video, the audio, excuse me.
I am going to grab that number and I have to sign into our Zoom account to see it because I don't know
Okay.
that I can see it. But Carole, we are going to get you an option here. Thank you,
All right.
Leslie.
Not a problem. Okay. And while we're still getting her set up, let's move on to Jann. Jann, you mentioned the importance of small towns to you. Can you tell us a little bit about why you chose cozy mysteries as your genre, and why are they staged in small towns? Let's see. Do we have Jann here? Jann, are you able to unmute? Oh, there you go.
Okay,
All right.
sorry, I tried to unmute myself
Okay.
earlier. It said you would, I couldn't do it, so I guess now I can. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so I actually grew up in a small town. And so the first three books I wrote are autobiographical in the sense that it was about a woman that grew up in a small town, hated it, moved to the big city because that's where she wanted to live, got dragged back to a small town by her husband. And the trilogy is kind of a slice of life, just her fitting in, realizing that God puts us where we're supposed to be. And, you know, he doesn't make mistakes, and it's us fighting against him, trying to decide, you know, have our will versus his. Sorry. And so, but in the course of those three books, I had a lot of people say, well, so what is it? Is it a romance? Well, they're married. So it is a romance, but it's a different kind of romance, you know, as I think all of us that are married know, you know, romance is different once you're married. It's beautiful, but it's different. Oh, well, is it a mystery? Well, there are some mysteries, but not a big mystery. So I was having trouble marketing the books because they were not fitting into these little pigeonholes that were supposed to fit. So I chose cozy mysteries because my mother-in-law reads my books, and I could not write anything that she, you know, couldn't read. And again, with romance, and nothing against romance writers at all. It's not me. I mean, it's not you, it's me. It's just, I have trouble writing romance. If I know they're going to end up together, I have a hard time trying to keep them apart. I just kind of throw them together. So mystery seemed like a better road. And I mean, what better place to have a mystery than in a small town with all the quirky people and the crazy, you know, gossipy stuff. It's just, it adds to the humor, and it's less gritty, you know, whereas a big city to me is more, it's cold, it's harsher. You have to do different things in order to find the clues because you don't know your neighbors, and, you know, you don't find everything out by going inside to pay for your gas at the gas station because, you know, people don't know each other. So it has to be small towns. Although, you know, you run into that whole Jessica Fletcher thing where, okay, nobody wants to live in that small town because everybody dies. But, you know, I've tried to make it work. They've branched out a bit and gone to other places, but I think small towns are fun. living in one. It's a great community, and it's hard to have secrets, right? Because I mean, honestly, if I killed someone, I think I'd probably be found out within an hour, because I think it would be all over town by then. So that's the fun in doing the mystery, writing the mysteries with a small town flair.
Okay. All right. I'm seeing potentially that Carole, you are unmuted. Is that true? Are you able to speak? Or?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes. Welcome. Welcome officially. Yes, it has happened. You have officially been able to speak out. I did read your bio earlier, and I do want to give you a chance to give us a little quick blurb about Ne'er the Twain Shall Meet.
Okay, this is the book. I don't know if you can see it or not. I'll give you a short description of it. It's about a kidnapped girl, a determined FBI agent, a woman with a memory, and in the midst of a serious misunderstanding, can a love be rekindled?
Oh, wow. Sounds juicy. Thank you for sharing, and I'm so glad that we were able to hear from you, and we will continue to do so.
Right,
I'm going to check in now with Gail. Question for you. Where do you get your ideas for your books in general? And what was the path that led you to cooking up a mystery?
Well, I get my ideas in general from the things that I see around me. If something stays on my heart or in my head for a while, then I'm going to end up writing something about it. It might be a book, or it might be a blog, or it might be an article. But if it's something that I see that touches my heart, or I can't stop thinking about it, then I will write about it. And as far as cooking up a mystery, yes. Well, several things. I wanted to write about women entrepreneurs because it just kept popping in my head. I think I felt that they were maybe not getting as much attention as some other entrepreneurs. So I had met an editor of a newspaper several years before I planned the book, and she had said to me, I would like for us to do something together one of these days. So I said, okay, and that was in the back of my mind. So then I thought, well, okay, what am I going to have this entrepreneur do? And I come from a long line of Southern cooks. So I thought about my grandmother and my mother and my great aunt's cooking. And I thought, oh, I think I'll have her have a catering business and a tea house. So once I got that piece together, I contacted the editor at the paper because she had written a cookbook for a charity. So during the book, the recipes that Lainey uses in her kitchen are probably more from my family. But in the back of the book, there's a little section called Lainey's Cooking School. And all of those recipes were supplied by Mission Love Seeds, which is the charity that my friend wrote about. And there are probably a little over 24 recipes in the back of the book. So it had a lot of parts. That book had a lot of parts to it. And Lainey did very well as an entrepreneur.
Awesome. I'd love to hear the background of how you come to your stories. You know, it sounds like it's a little bit of imagination and a little bit of the stories finding you. So keeping along the lines of those stories, I'm going to go back to Carole now with a question. And I believe it was Lori who had said earlier, she was talking about kind of weaving in these sensitive or tough topics in the story. And what caught my eye in your bio, Carole, is that you love to weave suspense and tough topics into your books. So I'd like you to tell us a little bit about what got you started with the series that you have written, in which Ne'er the Twain shall meet. And are there any tough topics that you tackle in those pages?
Yes, there is. In this one, it's a kidnapped girl, and it ends up being not only one of the younger girls in the community, but also the FBI agent's teenage daughter is kidnapped. And probably the hardest one that I have ever, the topic was my very first one that was published, The Redemption of Carole Heyman, because it was dealt with abuse in a supposedly religious cult. And it was so tough that some people that had perhaps gone through that situation, they apologized and said they couldn't read the book because it was a really tough subject. But in this one, it is not that tough, but it is if you think about having one of your own children kidnapped. That makes it dangerous and heartbreaking.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And I also want to just remind everyone to please pay attention to the chat. The post to the there, it's being posted. You will find posts in there to links to all of the authors featured tonight, to their books, so you can learn more about them and their literature. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone is paying attention to the chat. And also the chat is where you can add some questions of your own if you would like us to ask these of our esteemed authors this evening. I'm going to throw out some additional questions here for you, and this could be for any of the five of you. You are all writing important stories in different settings, tackling different topics. Can any of you share what is it that you are ultimately hoping readers get from the pages of your book?
Well, I'll jump in because mine's pretty obvious. I want teens to have awareness of human trafficking, but more than that, with any story that you write, there's complex layers that work together. So one of the characters in here is extremely introverted. And a lot of times when you're in the high school setting, because it's young adult, it is difficult for introverts. They are put in the hallways, surrounded by people all the time. That's their life. When you're an adult, you can kind of escape, but when you're a student, you're in these settings. And so just even bringing awareness to other students about, here's what you could do if you notice someone feeling like they don't fit in or they're left out, or ways that you can help and encourage them. So that's what I hope they take.
Awesome. Any of our other authors?
I feel similar to what Lori mentioned, that not only the entertainment part, but I want them to realize that there are problems and situations in the world that we need to pray about and that we need to be on guard about, and to help in any way that we can to stop these kind of crimes.
And I think I saw Gail. You sound like you
Yeah.
want
Yes, I would like, in all of my books, I hope that it will bring them a little closer to God. And especially in particular, in cooking up a mystery, I wanted people to realize that even though you go through a really bad experience, the main character sent her husband through dental school and chose not to go to college herself to do that. And then he left with another woman. So I wanted people to realize that even though you may go through something that is a really awful experience, that you can't hold on to that bitterness. You have to forgive them, because if you don't, the bitterness will eat away at you and it will ruin your life, maybe more than theirs. So that's certainly a good reason to get to offer people forgiveness or finally come to forgiveness. And the character in the book does not come to that easily. There is a guy, she starts donating leftover food to a food shelter. And the guy in the food shelter knew her and asked about her husband. And so she gave him the details, and he was a minister. So he told her, you have to forgive him. And she just nods to him, but to herself, she's saying never. But in the end, because she forgives him, she's able to love again. Whereas at the beginning of the book, she could not love anyone. And she was only able to really realize what the forgiveness did for her when she realized that no matter what situation he's in, the ex-husband, that she is happy because she forgave him and she's in love again.
Awesome. I am hearing our authors tonight talk about real topics that impact real lives and offering real hope in the pages. So thank you for the important work that you are doing. I do want to give space now for one of the questions that I see in the chat. This one's coming from Joan Hetzler. She would like to know where you as authors research your knowledge of police procedures. Do any of you contact your local police and get someone to critique your work? I think I saw Elle raise your hand. Did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, let me speak to that first. My father, my biological father, is a police officer, as is my brother. And there's just a lot of cops in my family, so that's where I get my information for the most part. My son is also in the military, so that's where I get a lot of my military information.
Awesome. So you have some homegrown knowledge here. And I would encourage the authors, as you are seeing some questions come up because of time, feel free to answer as well in the chat too, just so that we're able to get to a couple more questions. And there's one from Penny McGinnis. She asked, do you have any tips on writing a cozy mystery series as far as connecting the stories?
I have written a series, and anytime you have characters that show up, there's going to be an automatic connection. That is not the best answer you're going to get. I'm sure these others have better answers, but I'm just saying, just by the nature of the fact that you are writing a series, you have created a world with a family of characters that are going to live into the next story. Mm-hmm. And you can develop their characters a little bit more, explore it.
And let me ask a follow-up question, and this will be for any or all of the authors, kind of building on the idea of characters. What is most important to you in your story? Is it the character or is it the plot? Can anyone want to speak to that?
I think the plot would be, but if you don't have the right characters in that plot, it's going to be a failure too. So I'm kind of thinking maybe the plot, but the characters should be right up there beside the plot. Okay. If the characters don't carry the plot through, it's not going to be interesting.
Okay.
And I think that's an interesting take, because for me, it is the characters, because the readers, and I'm not saying that you're wrong, because there's obviously different approaches. For me personally, it's the characters, because it's the characters that the readers are going to root for. It's them that they're going to relate to. And when you're writing a story, you're communicating something of importance to your heart. If those characters are well developed, you might even find that your plot itself takes unexpected twists and turns.
Okay. Great responses.
Characters definitely for me. I think character-driven stories, they do move your plot around some, and it's okay with me.
Both for me, because the plot will make the character react to what's happening in the book. And then the character will help to form the plot because of their personality and what they do. In other words, if the character is like a woman who likes to make quilts, then she's not going to be a private detective. So her plot's going to be a lot different from a mystery plot with a private detective. So the character will help to form the plot, and then whatever the plot is, when the character reacts to it, that will help to form the character.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
great insight. What I'm hearing here is kind of a diversity of approach when it comes to writing, which I think is one of the great things about being an author, is that you are taking your perspective, your experiences, and the knowledge of your characters and the interest of your plot, and creating a story that we all can enter and learn. Because of time, I'm going to go with one more question here, and I do encourage our authors to, you know, if you're okay with it, typing into the chat to answer some of the other questions that came here. But let's go with Michael's question. It sounds like he's seeking some clarification about what makes a cozy mystery different from a normal mystery. And I know that we have some featured authors who specifically write in that genre of cozy mystery. And I'm not sure if all of you kind of categorize yourself in that way, but does anyone want to speak to that information?
You don't see the blood and gore in a cozy mystery. The blood and gore happens off stage, so to speak.
Mhm.
Whereas in a mystery, you might see it.
For our panelists, do you all consider yourselves cozy mystery authors? Or I know there's a lot of different mysteries underneath that, or different types of mysteries under that umbrella. I'm curious, how do you categorize yourselves?
Romantic suspense.
Contemporary fiction.
I'm a cozy mystery and a cozy suspense writer, romantic suspense.
Okay.
I'm cozy mystery and romantic suspense. I do have two other books that I felt very called to write. One is a young adult novel, and the other is about a woman who has Lyme disease. But basically, I would categorize myself as either cozy mystery or romantic suspense.
Okay. And I think, Jann, it looked like you were about to chime in as well. And you were on mute. So want to make sure that we can hear you. Still have you muted. Let's see. Have you pressed unmute? I don't know.
There we go. Yeah, at first
there
it
you go.
said, you wouldn't let me unmute, and then it said you would. So I don't know. No, I was just gonna say, I'm a big humor person, so mine are cozy. They're probably always going to be cozy. I have this dream of writing something grittier and darker, but I'm not sure I'm ever going to make it, because every time I try to write something, the humor just comes in. I guess, I don't know. I'm one of those weird people, I guess, that finds funny in almost everything. So,
well, I do encourage all of our attendees to use the links in the chat box. You've been introduced to these authors if you did not know them already. They are happy and eager and willing to tell you more about their stories, to give you information, to answer your questions. Please reach out to them if we were not able to get to all of your questions today. I know this time goes by really quickly, and I do want to respect the time. We're already a minute over. So very briefly, I'm going to ask of each of our 5 authors, if you could use about 10 or 15 seconds to let us know what's the best way to engage with you. You know, what's the best way for readers to learn more about your work. So let's go. We're going to start with Elle. If you could just spend about 10 or 15 seconds to give that information.
You can come to my website. It's lek.com, just like my name is spelled on the thing. And I have links for all of my other things there, you know, Facebook and Instagram and everything.
Okay. What about Lori?
I just posted mine in the chats, Instagram and my website.
Yeah, I could do that too.
Good idea.
I'm at Stories by Lori
Okay.
on Instagram.
All right. Jann, can you share with us as well how readers can connect with you?
I am. I just put my website in there, and my email is Jann with 2 N's at jannfranklin.com. So it's always a good time good place to write. So
Carole, did you have any parting words for us today?
One of the best places to connect with me would be on facebook.com/CaroleBrown73. No, sorry, I'm giving you the wrong one. It's author Carole Brown's fan group on Facebook. And that's where I have a group of people that we have parties and updates on my books and different things like that. So that's a good place to start.
Okay. And last but not least, Gail.
Just my website, gailpallotta.com. Little tab that has contact has all the social media sites, and there's a place there to subscribe to my newsletter. And I have a blog. All of that's there on my website. It's PALLOTTA, gailpallotta.com. I don't see how I can write, so I don't know how to put it in the little chat box, but my newsletter comes out about 4 to 6 times a year, and I have guest authors often, and sometimes they have giveaways.
All right, well, I thank you all for your participation tonight. I hope you have learned something new. Thank you for taking us into the pages of your book. We're learning about victims and villains and ultimately victors through Christ Jesus, right? So thank you everyone for attending. Have a blessed evening, and please reach out to these authors and support their work. Thank you.